Welcome to the Bold Money Revolution podcast. This is your source for straight talking, no fluff, business and high performance conversations that add real depth and value to the way bold leaders live, work, and thrive. I'm your host, Tara Newman. I'm here to show you how to optimize your performance as a leader so that you can grow a business that is profit-rich, efficient, and allows you to generate real, tangible wealth for yourself and others. We are here to help you lead with your values, to perform without overwhelm and burnout, and to do your most important work in the world. Hey there, everyone. Welcome to the Bold Money Revolution podcast. I'm your host, Tara Newman, and I am here today with Janet Sawatsky. And Janet has been on the podcast before. It's actually a fairly popular podcast episode. Welcome back, Janet.
Thank you for having me.
And I remember when that podcast went live, I think you were a mix of nervous and excited because
Yes,
I felt
right.
like we had a really honest conversation, right? That was like the whole point of these is to have like an honest conversation. And I feel like maybe you were more honest than you realized, but also you were like, that was really good.
Yes, I was really honest. And, it's important to be honest and tell the truth because there are things that are happening in the world right now. And we all need to talk about what's really happening. I had some negative experiences from a program that I was in. And it was hard for me to share about that. And then to have it go live, I was very concerned about, how does it position me and how does it make me look? And then I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter because this is what happened and we grow. And sometimes we make mistakes and we learn and we grow, and that's fine. It was a little bit nerve-wracking sharing it with everybody, but it is the truth. And I came out just fine. So that's
Yeah. And then I loved what you said to me because, and it's what inspired me to just have this another conversation with you, because you were like, wow, I've grown so much since that podcast, since we recorded that podcast, right? Because there's a delay in my podcast. Everybody who listens, they know we're like epic batchers over here. And so there had been probably a few months that had gone by since that episode. And you're like, wow, like I've had so much more growth. So I was like, all right, well, come on the podcast and I'm going to talk to you about where you think you've seen growth and things like that. And honestly, I just want to be clear for you and the audience, this isn't about this is a case study because we've already heard from Janet and now we're hearing an update from Janet. But I don't want this to be like a case study where we're like fully plugging anything that I'm selling. I want to plug Janet is what I want to do on this podcast. And I just want to really show the human side of business and the human side of business and personal growth and the human side of how we look and think about our success, which is something that I've been really interested in right now because I've been really asking myself, Janet, that I'm a journaler and that I'm very self-reflective, and it's, self-reflection is part of what I teach. But I've been really asking myself right now, what does success look like for me in this season of my life? And so Janet, I want to ask you the same question. Janet didn't know I was asking her this question, so we're going to give Janet just some time to chat this through with me. But, what does success look like for you at this season of your life? And like, what season of life are you in?
Well, what does success look for me? I would have to say that success is having a sense of calm in my business and in my family and in my life. That's really important to me. I want my central nervous system to be calm. I have been in the state of trauma for a really long time, and that is over and that is done. And I'm finished with that. And now I need to focus on what makes me feel good and happy, and also makes me feel successful. And for that, for me, is to have a successful business. And what I mean by that is having a profitable business. I do want to have a profitable business where I do help people move forward in their business. So that is my goal for my business. For my life, I want my husband and my daughter to feel that I am there in the moment. I am present for them. I am able to participate in their lives. And I want us to have a home that functions in all the different ways that a home needs to function, as in, food on the table and bills paid. And, if we could squeeze in some vacation, that would be fantastic. Haven't quite got to that, but it's also because my husband and I both work full time. We have a 4-year-old daughter. She's about to turn 5 here in July, and she will be starting kindergarten in the fall. And so we are working very hard to take some time off to spend with her in August. We both work a lot and we love our careers and we are very good at what we do. And we really love our work. And that's great. But we also have a daughter who is a very important part of our lives, who brings a lot of joy to our life. And she is 4. So her sense of reality and her needs are very different than what we need. And we need to really be present with her to understand where she's at and what she's needing, because play is very where she's at and what she wants to do. And we need to be there to play with her. And if we're just focused on our business all the time, we're not going to be very fun. So, playing hide and seek and, playing whatever it is that she's playing. She has an amazing imagination. She's a great artist. And I really want to honor her and where she's at in the world right now.
So I think you said some really good stuff there that I have been considering as well. So, you're at the stage of your life where you have a young child, but yay, she's going to kindergarten. That's so much fun. And it's so much fun to be kind of out of that, like, what do we do for daycare phase? Do you have full-time kindergarten where you are?
It's half day, but we have care after the kindergarten. So we can still work full time, but it's going to be an adjustment for sure. I mean, she has been in daycare full time since she was 14 months. But
I can remember being really happy the daycare payments were over at that point, for sure, right? And it's interesting. So my kids are older, and my daughter's 14 and my son's 17. He's graduating from high school, going to college. And my daughter said to me yesterday, I've been working from home. I quit my corporate job when she was in probably 2nd grade. And she said, Mom, my love language is quality time. And that's what I love the most about you working from home, is that you're always home. You're always around. You're present. And my workday ends when they get off the bus. So I have always structured it that way, because when she was little, she didn't like getting off the bus and coming home and having me working. And that was something that I had the luxury afforded to me, that I could do that through small business ownership. And so I think that's like so important. And for me, and the season of life that I'm in, and similar to you, my husband works. He has his own business. His business right now is experiencing a massive growth spurt. And so it's really challenging us. He's traveling again. This is the 3rd time in the last 4 weeks that he's traveled. And then I've got the kids, the dogs, and my aging mother who needs to have surgery coming up. Right. So it's like, okay, in this season of my life, what does success look like for me? And, for you, I loved, it was having a profitable business, but like, I love the part about the calm, because I also have, I have complex PTSD, right? So like, I have enough things that agitate my nervous system. I don't need my business to agitate my nervous system either. So I'm with you. I want a calm business. I want to be profitable at any revenue amount. So no matter how much money I bring in, I just want to keep as much as I can keep. I want to keep 40 to 50% of that. Right. And that gives a lot of flexibility, because at that point you're always, because Janet knows. So Janet, you work with larger businesses.
I do.
Right? You work with businesses like over $1 million doing strategic planning and things like that. And so you and I both know how not profitable businesses can be.
Yes. No matter how much money you're making, you're not necessarily profitable.
Right. So there are plenty of businesses that are in the millions of dollars. And this is absolutely, I'm not throwing any shade at anybody, because this is what I help people do, that aren't as profitable as they can be. So for me, success for me is making sure that no matter how much revenue I have coming in, I'm profitable. That way I can decide how much work I want to take on and how much work I don't want to take on. And, you mentioned too, like helping others move forward, helping others make progress and succeed as well is important to you. Right. And I love how you were saying, focusing on your daughter and like, maybe taking a vacation too, but like having the financial foundations in your family, which is a very different vision of success than I think we see portrayed online.
Definitely. I think what is portrayed online sometimes is not always, but a lot of times it's like, oh, start your own business. It's a quick, easy win. You'll make lots of money. You'll be famous. You'll have a team, and they make it seem like you just do it and it's all easy. Well, that's not the case. That's not how it is. You have to know what you're doing. There's a huge learning curve if you've never run a business before. You might have an expertise, which is great, but it takes a long time for you to figure out what kind of problems in the world are you going to solve and how
where you fit.
And where do you fit and who are you going to work with? And it takes you a while to figure out what boundaries am I going to have, because I am running a business because I have a certain expertise that I can share to help people. And I really enjoy that work. I like helping people move their business forward by creating a plan and doing workforce strategy. There's nothing more that I would rather do. At the same time, I need to make sure that I'm working with people who share values with me.
Yep.
Because I have a life. And I am running a business, yes, because I enjoy my career and I enjoy doing that work, but it is to enhance my life. My life is not going to suffer because of my job. I mean, I've already done that. I worked in the corporate world for many years.
And I think that's such a great point around like, it's not just, what is the service you sell and the market you are selling it to and how that fits for you as the owner founder of the business, but like how that fits with your values and your boundaries and your non-negotiables and how you want to be living your life. We all are very talented people. We can all offer the world a lot of service and be of service to a lot of people. But who actually deserves our service in a way? Like I see a lot of clients who get involved and their clients are terrible to them. Like they'll be like, I just got this email and this is what the person said. And I'm like, who talks to people like that? Right? Like we have to stop tolerating poor fit clients.
Absolutely. And it takes a while to learn how to be comfortable with people who are interested in what you do and they think that they want it. And then you have a conversation and it turns out it's not a good fit. And, they don't want to have the service or you can't, the timing isn't right or whatever. And to just be okay with that and to just be in the flow of business where that you will be working with the right people as you stick to your values and stick to your boundaries and allow the right people to come to you and allow yourself to say no and to say yes and to just be true to yourself. I think that is a huge growth for me, because when you're working in a job, I mean, you basically just have to do what you're supposed to do. And of course, I did my job very well and I was promoted and people were always very thrilled with my work. And I always took on far more work than I probably should have. But it has to switch when you're a business owner, because now it's all up to you to say yes and to say no and to, I guess, regulate the flow of business for, of course, to make money and to make a profit, but to make sure that your life is functioning. Because really, why are you running a business if your life is falling apart? Like, what is the point? So,
okay. I'm loving this. I'm loving what you're saying, because what I'm hearing You say I'm hearing two things. So one, I'm hearing a lot of non-attachment.
I never thought about it like that. But yes, I guess that is what I'm saying, is that it takes a while to learn how to not be personally impacted when
Not
people
be
say no.
desperate for the sale.
Yeah, right.
So what I'm hearing from you so one of the biggest energetic hurdles to selling is desperation and neediness. In the sales world, we would call it commission breath. People can smell that you want the commission, your commission breath. And so what you're so demonstrating for people is this peace with where you are and non-attachment. And I just want to check in because that's not how you've always felt.
No, it's taken me a while to get here because, there's when you're doing something new, there's excitement, but there's fear as well. There's, you're excited to do something new and you think you can do it, and there's all that, but there's a lot of fear of failure as well. And so it's that kind of saying that exists and that's there, but then you set it aside and go, no, this is what I'm doing. These are the kind of people that I'm going to work with, and then sticking to it and just having that sense of calm and confidence that you're doing the right thing. It does take a while when you're doing something new. It takes a while for you to build the confidence. And so I guess what I'm trying to share with people is that allow yourself the time and, even giving yourself the grace to feel the things. Like that was very hard for me, like feeling the fear and, you're kind of scared.
Disappointment.
And rejection and dealing with all of this stuff. And you've never done it before. And so, that's normal. And that's why it is really important for you to surround yourself by a supportive community, because you're not going to be able to do it alone.
What I'm hearing you say, the concept that you're talking about, I love it. You're talking about things, but you're not naming them the way I would name them, which is actually why I love having people on the podcast, because sometimes we all just need to hear somebody else say it. Now, what Janet is saying, and the way I would say it, is y'all need to be practicing. This is what she's describing. She's describing practice, something that she's doing every day, that she's, varying different degrees of skill and learning involved. She's sticking with it, even though it's hard, even though she's felt like a failure at times, even though she's been disappointed and she's been uncomfortable and scared. She's still doing it. She's practicing. So what does this practice look like to you? When you say you're doing things every day, what are some of the things you're doing?
Well, one of the things that I have found extremely helpful is the EMS framework. And at first you're like, I don't know, like that just seems too easy, or I don't know. Anyway,
so my EMS framework stands for energy, mindset, and strategy. And it basically encourages you to do something for your energy, address your mindset before you actually do the doing in your business. Instead of just like waking up in the morning and jacking yourself full of coffee and hammering away on your keyboard because like, I got to get the sale. I need this now. Somebody needs something from me. This is urgent. That you just take some space and do these other things first, and do not do the doing until you've handled your energy and handled your mindset. And it sounds simple, and it is, but it is not easy, I think is what Janet is saying.
Well, and I have to say, like, when I first saw the framework, I was like, I don't know about that. Like, that's just weird, because we all just get up in the morning. It's like you ramp yourself up, whether you have coffee or whatever. We ramp ourselves up into this state of frenzy. I got to get to my email. You've got, 10, 20, 50 email. You got to get through that. You got to do this. You got to do that. And oh my God, I have to run out to the door and I have to go do lunch and I have to go network and I have to have a sales call this afternoon. And like, you ramp yourself up into the state of frenzy, or at least I have, where you're just go, go, go. And you're doing all this busy work. And then all of a sudden you're just like, what am I doing? And why am I doing this? And where is it getting me? this is not the way that I want to live, and this is not getting me the results that I want. And so then when you turn it around and you learn about, let's start with my energy. And I had to figure out, what is that? I don't understand what energy is. It was beyond my comprehension. I'm like, is that really weird? Or is that woo stuff? Because I'm not into that. But then I was like, oh, it's just like, okay, now I'm getting it. It's like, I had to do a little exploration about what energy was. I understood what mindset was, and I definitely understood what strategy was, but the energy thing was very different for me. And then I'm like, well, what do I do to make me feel good? Well, I go for a walk and I explore nature, and I have a dog, and I do yoga, and yoga really, really helps ground me. And I was already doing the things, but to actually focus on doing the yoga and the exercise and just the relaxing and making myself feel good put me into a completely different state of mind, where then I could think about being bold and confident and putting my best foot forward every day in everything I chose to do. And then having, strategic activities that I do every day to lead to revenue generation. So it was a totally different way of operating. And I've been operating in that way now for, I think, 6 to 9 months. And I've seen a huge difference in my growth for my business and my personal life.
I love that. It's really a framework for personal performance, but not in a way that, I think, at least not in a way that feels dogmatic, or it's like, you have to get up at 5 a.m. No, you don't. Like, you really don't have to get up at 5 a.m. to be successful. I also love that you're so practical minded. You're my people, Janet. Like, right. She's like, I'm just not that woo. Right. I love my people who are just not that woo, but like giving them tools where they can connect to themselves. That's really what that is. That's an opportunity for you to connect to yourself and to engage in making yourself feel good. And I love how you say it kind of like unbusied you.
It's been a huge change because I still do it. Like I get up in the morning, I'm like, oh, I have all this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, you're ramping yourself up. Why are you doing that? You're doing that to yourself. So just stop that and put that aside, and a better way. And then, and then I go forward. But that is, it's practice. And I'm still doing it. I'm practicing, I'm learning, I'm growing. But it is, I guess it's because I want my business to be so successful. And I have to realize that I am the one who's going to do that. So I need to take care of myself and make sure that I'm here for the long game, not just my life. I hope.
So
my business,
this is about
right?
Sustainability, right?
Yeah.
So, as we were having that conversation around what does success look like for you in this season of your life, I think for a lot of us, it looks like sustainability.
Yes.
I think we're coming off of 3 years. I don't think we're coming off. I think we're still in it. Like, of 3 years that have had heightened stress for most people in one area of our life or another. I don't think any of us can deny that, right? I don't think any of us can deny that the landscape that we are living in is different at this point. And it is feeling less, life in general, it seems to be feeling less sustainable for people. So, how we define success to sustainability and making sure, this is like in Greg McKeown's book, Essentialism, where he talks about protect the asset, and we're the asset, right? So the other thing that you started to talk about was, what I was hearing you say was, you are in charge of your growth. You're in charge of your business's growth. You're deciding how you want to grow, in terms of who you work with, in terms of what types of proposals you send out, in terms of how you want to market. You're saying, so this is interesting to me because I'm a huge believer in we're in charge of our growth, right? And we should be moderating our growth instead of doing what like the internet wants us to do, which is like be like the Elon Musks of the world and like take off in a rocket ship and 10x everything. I'm a really big believer in that. And so has that changed? Has that been how you've always felt? Is this a different perspective you've had recently?
Well, I think two things. When it comes to what I really want, I have to think about my daughter. So when I think about what I'm doing, I want my daughter to grow up feeling confident and grounded. Those are two things that are really important to me. And we need money to live our life and to do the things we want to do, and hopefully have enough that we can share it with others. But that's what I mean by what I want for her. And that's
Mhm.
what I want for myself. Yes, I need to make money because we need to put food on the table and pay our bills like everybody else. I also would like to travel. So if I want to do that, I need to be able to put money aside and save to be able to travel for our family in the future. There's things that we want to do. I won't name them all, but we have a Thrive list and we have items that we would like to do in the future. And as we age, we'll be able to do different things. And we might not be able to do other things. So we have to think about the time factor and our, physical abilities and those kinds of things. We are, in our 50s and our daughter is young. So that is a little bit maybe different than for some other people. But I think fundamentally, you need to think about joy and revenue. It's not just about money. It's about what brings you joy and other people joy, other people in your life and other people in the world. Because I believe that we are here to, yes, provide for ourselves and our family, but we also need to provide for other people. There are a lot of people in the world who are less fortunate than ourselves, and we need to be mindful of that, and we need to share. It kind of goes back to, the fundamentals of being grounded. Like, who are we and what do we want to do? I'm here not just to make money. I'm here to make a difference in the world. And hopefully, my daughter will make a difference in the world as well. So, we are here to be leaders and to be givers and to have joy and take care of ourselves and treat other people well. I think that's what I mean by grounded. And I think I'm going on and on a bit, but that's how I feel.
So, I think thank you for coming on today, Janet. I feel like we're talking about the real things, and I love that. I love that. Yeah, listen, I what I'm hearing you say around the confidence and the groundedness is that something that you have had to learn in your lifetime for yourself, because I'm going to make an assumption that you didn't always feel that way.
No, definitely
And
not.
that now that you've learned the things that make you feel confident and how you feel confident and how you feel grounded, you want to give that to your daughter,
Yes.
right? And say, this is how you do it. And this is how you're grounded. And I think a lot of us can relate to that from the perspective of so many of us are cycle breakers, right? We're breaking a cycle of behavior that has come from our ancestry or generational narrative, right? There's definitely a handful of those things in my life that I did the hard work to break that cycle. And I will tie this to the fact that this is a business podcast and say that the only thing that broke that cycle was the personal development that I was forced to do through owning a business. There was no other, and I have been doing personal development since I was in my 20s, and I've done a lot of excavating. But until I started my business in 2014, it wasn't to the same depth that the personal development was happening in conjunction to the business growth and development. This starting a business, running a business, growing a business, making business decisions that I've had to make even just over the last 3 years has accelerated my path, right?
Absolutely.
And I've had the great fortune to break a lot of cycles. And that is probably one of the biggest results of my business that is not necessarily financial. It has helped financially, but just because, right? Like, so when you break some of those things and those cycles and those traumas and those inner wounds, I wouldn't have been able to receive the money that I've received at this point if I didn't do that work. There was parts of me that felt unworthy of that. There were parts of me that felt like I didn't deserve it. There were parts of me that never felt good enough, and confidence was always right? And self-esteem and all of those things were coming up in play. And those things are here for every single person because that is a part of the human experience. And that's why I'm really glad we're having this conversation. And so I love that how this experience for you is becoming a part of breaking those cycles, and that you've landed on this place where you're like joy and revenue can coexist. That's what I'm hearing you say, right?
Yes, absolutely. And, until you mentioned it, I didn't realize that it was when I started my business, that was when I actually started my personal growth. Because before, when you're in a job, you just go do your job. And I didn't find that I was growing in any way. I mean, for a long time, like
job challenges are a different level of challenge than like
you go to work, you do
all
your
shit's
thing.
on you and is when everything's on you and you're in charge, it's just different.
Yeah. And, there's politics and whatever, but, really you just go in every day. You don't have the investment in yourself or the organization. I mean, unless maybe you work for a really great
financial, emotional, mental, physical investment into something. You're right.
So when you have your own business, it's like full on commitment. And then you realize, wow, I need to grow and I need to change. And that is like, wow. And I don't know that I would have grown in the way that I have if I hadn't started my business, because I have never done so much personal growth than in the time that I have had a business. And I think you have to. If you're not willing to change and grow, I think your business is going to suffer.
Mm-hmm. So as we kind of start to wind this down and wrap this up, what are you the most proud of in terms of your growth and your development, maybe since the last time we had this conversation on the podcast? Like, what are like maybe 1 to 3 things that really stand out to you as personal and professional wins?
I think because I have dealt with the anxiety and getting rid of all that busy work and being able to just go, okay, that's fine. You felt like that. Let's just put that aside. Let's focus on your energy and your mindset and then get to work and do your daily activity. Because I have that focus and that clarity now, it has allowed me to be very clear about what I'm doing, with whom, and how I'm going to help them. And so then that helps with all aspects of my business and my personal life. So it helps with my marketing and my lead generation. It helps in the delivery of the strategic planning that I do. It helps being bold and confident in the sales. It helps with the follow-up and the testimonials. Like it helps in all the aspects of your business, because you have that clarity and the confidence and the sustainability. And I think when you feel like, oh, I've got it kind of, I have it together now, in my personal life and my mind and my energy and all of those things, and I have it together in my business, then everything sort of comes together and it gives you that feeling that, I can do this. And this is going to be great, not just for myself, but for my family and for the people that I get to work with. So there's been a huge amount of growth and change in the last year.
Yeah. So one thing that you were mentioning around like the kind of like leaving busyness behind, right? What's interesting there is sometimes when we think about results, we don't think about, it's hard to see or talk about a negative, meaning like you've left something, you let things go. You're not doing them anymore. But what I'm hearing you say is you've been able to identify the actions you were taking that didn't lead to results.
Yes.
And let those things go.
Yes, there were a lot of busy, like I was being busy and I was, doing all of these things that I thought that I should be doing. And really, no, those things were not the things that I should be doing. I should be focused over here. And it's hard to get out of that But that's what I mean by surrounding yourself by experts to help you, because you don't always see it when you're in it. You see it when you're, with other people and having conversations, and they're very, they can see it because they're on the outside and they can say, oh, what about this? And it's like, oh my goodness, I've been so busy doing all of these things that are not leading to the business success that I want to have. And other people can help you, pull out of it. It's an education, and it's like holding up a mirror and saying, no, look at all the things you're doing. You can let that go. You don't need to do that. That's not really going to help you in any way. Why don't you do this and just focus on this? And it's like, wow, it's very liberating. It's exciting. And it's, you're just learning every day. And it's so eye-opening. I have to say, like, I feel like even 6 months ago, I feel like I'm seeing business from a completely different perspective than I was before.
Yeah, well, I think one of the biggest shifts that you've made, and I think it ties into this concept of like letting the things go that aren't leading to results. And I very much understand what you're saying in the sense of like having people around you who are also sharing what's working and what's not working in a very real, honest container. Because I even struggle with this when I say go online and I look at something and someone's like, this is the way to go. Like, this is the thing. This gets this type of result. And I'm like, but I've tried that and it didn't work for me. And I know it doesn't work for me, but they're saying it's working. So what am I doing wrong? Or, why isn't it working for me? Or maybe I didn't do it right the first time, right? And you start to really second guess yourself, and it makes it hard to let go of the things that aren't working, because then you go and see a message that it's worked for other people. And what is interesting is a lot when you first came, and we talked about this on the last episode, was that you had kind of like a misalignment in how you were trying to market the service that you sell. You were trying to market it in a way that was very business to consumer when you sell something that is very business to business. So what changes have you made? Like, what are the things that you stopped doing? And what are the things that you might be testing or started doing right now in your marketing? Because you said you have a lot more like clarity. That's been huge for you. Mm-hmm. Is you're much more clear on your target market, the problem that they have, the path that they're taking, what's possible for them. Mm-hmm. So how has that changed in terms of what you do and what you don't do in your business?
Yeah, it has changed a lot because I'm building relationships with people, and I am engaging with people in a different way than I was before. I thought that by posting online that I would be generating leads, and that's how you market. And that wasn't working for me, and I wasn't sure why. And then I was like, oh, well, that's not actually where my people are. Like, they're not scrolling on Facebook and Instagram, and maybe some of them are on LinkedIn sometimes, but that's just not the target market that I'm going after. I'm looking for businesses with 100 employees or less, and they do not have time to be scrolling on the internet. They are in their business putting out
or they're looking at like dog videos and cat videos because they're super stressed and they're trying to calm themselves down.
Yeah, they go to the internet for fun and enjoyment, and so they should, because they probably only have a few minutes to do that. But they're not there for looking for my services. I need to get out in my local community. I need to be networking, and I have created 2 opt-ins for people to get to know me. One is instantly instantly remove your business bottlenecks. So they can find that on my website, and they can take a quiz to find out what their business bottleneck is. And I would have never even thought of that creating that opportunity to engage with me would have never dawned on me had I not taken the Bold Profit Academy Plus program, where it really focused my lead generation and my marketing, and how to draw people into my into my audience and get to know me. So there was that one option. And then I've also been hosting roundtable discussions for business owners to come and talk to me about what is their business bottleneck, so that number one, I can understand what their problems are and what language they're using, so that I can better communicate to them about how I can help them get out of their situation so that they can grow their business. So by learning and growing and getting clear about who I'm working with and how, I was able to focus and create ways for those people who need my help to engage with me in a better way, whether that's in person or through my quiz or through my roundtable. But I'm talking with real people who have real businesses, and it is not just a whole bunch of people who don't fit my criteria, for working. Like, I'm not just attracting a whole bunch of people that I don't want to work with in the first place. I'm attracting the right people who have a problem that I can fix. And whether we work together or not, I do believe that I can set them on the right path to go forward. And then, if we want to work together down the road, then that's fine. So it's again, that relationship building. It's a long-term game. It's a sustainable game. These are real people with real businesses, with real problems. And I am here to help them. They already know usually what the problems are. They are experts and they have an idea, but sometimes they need to talk to somebody about it to get them on the right path. So that's what I'm here to do. And I don't know that I would have got that clarity if I wouldn't have been in this program.
I love that you're doing those roundtables and that you have that opt-in for people when you meet them, to send them to something to say, hey, we just had this conversation and it sounds like you're not sure, what area of the business might need to be addressed first. Why don't you take my business bottleneck quiz, right? It's just kind of like a nice lead in, or something that you can follow up with when you're in person, or, connecting more from a relationship perspective. We did a podcast episode, Michelle Warner and I did a podcast episode that was really talking about some of the differences between traffic marketing and relationship marketing, that we'll link in the show notes if you want to go deeper on that topic. But, that's something that doesn't get a lot of attention online. And you see just mostly like digital ways or traffic type marketing ideas. So, and I remember when you first came to me, Janet, and we were talking about this, and I was like, we need to look at your network. And you're like, I don't have a network. You remember saying that to me?
I don't, but I'm not surprised,
So many women come to me and they're like, I don't have any relationships. I don't have a network. And I'm like, you do.
I remember you saying, leads are everywhere, and taking that learning module or whatever it was about how leads are everywhere. And I was like, oh, they are everywhere. It's like, it's like, wow. And, yes, I do have a network, and I meet people every day, and I wasn't very clear about how to talk to them about what I do. There's been so much work that has had to be done personally and in my business to get to the stage where I can communicate to people.
Yes. Confidence and grounding.
Yeah.
Right? Because so we talk about this a lot. We talk about in the Bold Profit Academy, we talk a lot about just being a human being and being a salesperson and a human being. Like, you can be both. And I feel like I do a lot of languaging and modeling, like how to say things and how to be casual about it, and not be a dick, or not be like super weird about it. And like, we just all just stop being so weird about it. Like, we just need to talk to people. Right. But the reality is that when you do that, you actually need cold calling skills. But you're not picking up a phone and direct dialing. That, like, people are like freak out about that. But you're still having to start a conversation. Starting a conversation is a cold calling skill, and it needs you to be confident and grounded and emotionally intelligent, to have some emotional intelligence to do that. So I love how this just like kind of all came around full circle. Janet, do you have any words aside from all the words you've already given us? Let's reframe this. What is one thing you hope people take away from this podcast episode with you?
I think
when you're starting something new, give yourself some time to learn and give yourself some grace about that. You don't need to do it all in 3 months. Like, just let's get real here that business takes a long time to create and to build. And you're going to need other people to help you. So give yourself some grace and take the time that you need to learn what it is that you're doing. It doesn't have to be done overnight. And get the learning that you need. Figure out what it is that you need to learn, whether it's, your personal development side and your business side. Invest in yourself.
Yeah.
And it pays off.
Yeah. I want to actually jump onto when doing something new, right? Because I don't want people to hear that and hear, what I'm in the startup phase of my business, because, like most businesses right now are pivoting. They're having to adapt. They're having to be flexible. They're having to stay relevant in everything that's happening in the world and the economy, myself included. We are pivoting. Janet knows this because we talk about it in the Bold Profit Academy, and I'm very transparent about it. And so we're trying some new things, and that goes for me too. Because when you try something new, it is new, even though you have experience. So you get to go and maybe try a new revenue stream or start a new revenue stream or start another business, but you get to take what you've learned along the way, but it is still new, right? There's still those beginning stages. And I can say, like, we've been talking about in the Bold Profit Academy, like I'm working on getting clarity around this new offer that we're creating. I'm getting my feet underneath me around how to communicate it and not sound like it's word salad, around, the pricing of it, around, testing it and making sure that, say, the onboarding is working properly in the way it should. So I think what you said is incredibly relevant for everyone to keep in mind. So thank you. Janet, if they want to find you and connect with you, where can they do that?
You can connect with me on LinkedIn, Janet Sawatsky. You can also visit my website, 7pointtrends.com.
Thanks for coming on, Janet.
Thanks so much.
If you found this podcast valuable, help us develop more bold leaders in the world by sharing this episode with your friends, colleagues, and other bold leaders. Also, if you haven't done so already, please leave a review. I consider reviews like podcast currency, and it's the one thing you can do to help us out here at the Bold Leadership Revolution HQ. We would be so grateful for it. Special thanks goes to Stacey Harris from Uncommonly More, who is the producer and editor of this podcast. Go check them out for all your digital marketing and content creation needs. Be sure to tune into the next episode to help you embrace your ambition and leave the grind behind.